Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of West Ham Fan TV's Post-Match Pint, the only West Ham United post-match full of show on the internet. We've just come back virtually from the London Stadium where, amazingly, it was West Ham 1, Man City 1. Dan, do you want to take us through the starting lineup?
Yeah, sure. Unchanged, of course. Fabianski in goal. We had the back three there of Creswell, Ogbonna, and Bowen. Masuaku left wing back. Sofao right wing back. And then we had Jared Bowen, we had Fornals, and we had Antonio, and Souček and Rice in the middle. Forget about them. So, unchanged. I don't think many of us was expecting it to be unchanged.
I'm sure you said Bowen played left centre-back then as well.
It seemed like he was everywhere, didn't it?
That's it? Yeah, he was everywhere. But, I mean, great result. And, I mean, just quickly going on the team selection, Benrahma not in the squad today. I see a lot of people kicking up a bit of a fuss on Twitter about it. But look, if he's not ready, what's the point of rushing him? You know, he stepped up from the Championship to the Premier League. It's a different ball game up here. The intensity is a lot harder than it is in the Championship. And, you know, he's only had a week's training with his new teammates. So, look, we're all excited to see him, but there's no need to rush him, especially when the team's in such good form.
Yeah, well, that's what I said to Nicky. Well, 10 goals in 3 games. Like, we're scoring. It's not scoring goals and attacking hasn't been a problem. So it's not like we need him in because, you know, we ain't been able to create nothing. We've been doing really well. So why rush him?
Not only that, I think that it would have been very harsh on someone to have to drop out. I mean, Haller come in and Snodgrass dropped out. I thought that was a bit harsh on Snoddy, to be quite honest with you. There's good competition for places at the minute, and we're going to need them. Because
we spoke about this last night on Friday Night Pint, mate. We said the competition for places is massive at the moment. And as you said, Haller coming back, Snodgrass had to drop out. Next week, Rama, if he's fully fit, someone else is going to have to drop out. It might have to be Lanzini, Yarmolenko, Noble, who has to drop from the bench. So it's a good effort. But I think we had 2 defenders on the bench, didn't we? Fredericks and Diop on there today. Yeah. So one of them will probably drop out in place of probably Benrahma, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of them things of like you wouldn't have made any changes to that lineup.
Don't get me wrong, but before I saw it and you know, he's not on the bench, I thought to myself, fucking hell, like, how disappointing is that? And then, you know, when you think about it and you look at the squad, you think, who does drop out at the minute?
It's the excitement of seeing a new player, isn't it? That's part of it. It's you want to kind of see the new player.
We had the same problem with Bowen. The only difference with Bowen and Benrahma is, at the time, we desperately needed Bowen, and Bowen had to come in against the City and the Liverpool last season when we signed him in January. At the minute, we don't particularly need to bring people in to take risks because we're doing okay. We're doing well.
As you just said, mate, when Bowen come in January, we was in a relegation battle, so we had to chuck him in now. But we've got that luxury now of giving Benrahma a couple of weeks to train with the first team, and I'll be surprised if he's not on the bench for the next game against Liverpool. But then again, if he's not, welcome to the Premier League, mate. That's what happens when you move up. You got to fight for your place to get in the squad.
Yeah. I think people just need to be patient with it, and see how we go. I mean, we started, apart from that first 10-minute slump, we started really well. It's just we need that first little 10 minutes to sort of settle, don't we? It seems, and then we get going.
Well, the big improvement from last week, we wasn't 3-0 down after 16 minutes this week. Well, so onwards.
Yeah, we was looking at the clock like, come on, hold that.
But you're right. I mean, City in the first 5-10 minutes, they just had all the ball, and you got to expect that. You know, we've all sat in the London Stadium since we moved there and watched Man City at home, and we get torn apart by City. And even today, they had a lot of the ball, especially in the second half. But there's been a massive turnaround at West Ham, and the way we deal with things, and the way there seems to be that especially with Rice and Souček, is straight away as soon as we lose that ball, they look to get it back. Where a lot of times we've sat back and let teams play against us, and that's why we have been on the end of a 4 or 5-0 defeat against teams like City over the last few years.
Yeah, it was six. Our last 6 games at home, wasn't it? 4 or more goals conceded and only 1 scored, and it was the 22-1 aggregate. And some of them games have come when we've been playing decent, and they
It's 23-2 now. So we're moving up.
Yeah, that's it.
All we have to do is win 22-0 next time, and then we beat them on aggregate.
Imagine we did win 22-0 at the Etihad later in the season.
They should liquidate. They should liquidate if that happens. I think.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, mate.
Nah, but that'd be something else. But yeah, I mean, after we got over that initial bit of them being on top, we really started to make some good runs and some good attacks. I mean, they were still coming at us, and they still probably had more of the ball. But I think what we were doing with the ball was more impressive. Was creating more chances.
So for me, the whole thing was the organisation for the whole game. The organisation we had, the way we snubbed them out, the way we stopped them playing. I mean, I've been over the London Stadium before and watched City play, and we've never got within 5 yards of the ball at times. You know what I mean? Like they're passing it around, and we can't get near them. This time they got the ball, especially with big players like Sterling, who I think he's run rampant at our place over the last few years. He got the ball, they shut him down straight away. They had 3 or 4 around him. When he passed the ball off, they had 3 or 4 around him. Organisation solid. Obviously, a lot of talking defensively. We were excellent again. And to be fair, against the City team, attacking wise, we weren't that bad.
That right-hand side for me with Bowen and Sofao, I thought was a brilliant. In that first half especially, really stood out. Was really making things happen. Sofao defensively as well, and offensively. It was all most of it was that right-hand side. Our attack.
I've got to give a big shout out to Masuaku. I thought he was the man of the match today. Again,
he weren't even. It's funny. West Ham put their thing up and they didn't even list him. Him also Sofao wasn't even on the options.
Yeah, he's very confident on the ball today, Masuaku. But as Dan said, I mean, once we got through that first 10 minutes, what changed the game was down the right side and Bowen running at him. I mean, he was frightening them down that side. And the one thing that they must have worked on during training is as soon as you get that ball, pull it in the box because City will panic. And Antonio's there to hold it up. And obviously Souček as well, winning headers.
Yeah, that's Souček. He was a handful today, and I think him in that movie, he's so crucial to us. And a lot of people, I said a lot of comments in the comments, and someone talking about some of the people in the comments and people in the fan camp talking about this, all the hype around Party and coming in, and like Souček has gone really under the radar for a quality midfielder that he is.
You've had quite a few come into the league, haven't you? You've had like Parties come into the league, and everyone's raving about him. Allen at Everton's come into the league, centre midfielder. Big expectations around him, so no one's going to be mentioning Souček.
But you just going to throw up then?
No, I nearly did. Nobody's going to be mentioning Souček in that, but for me. I watched that Allen the other day. I wasn't that impressed by him. He's a good player, but I wasn't that impressed by him. I didn't think he got hold of the game. The way Souček's come in since he came back in January and sort of taken to the Premier League, taken to the physicality. He's a big old lad. He's a 6'5" boy. You know what I mean? He's always going to have that physical presence, and I think that's important in the Premier League at the minute. And I'll be honest with you, I thought we had the better of the midfield.
I'll be honest, mate. I prefer it when our players go unnoticed. I prefer it. It's like when the media and that play down Declan Rice. I love it because I'd rather him not be spoken about because people like big clubs have missed out on someone like Thomas Souček. It's the reason that he plays for West Ham is why he doesn't get mentioned that much. But good, as I said, let that carry on. Let him just carry on doing what he's doing on the pitch because he's improved our team since January. Since he's come in, he's improved our midfield. And I think it was clear to see the interview after the game with Declan Rice. He said that he doesn't have to do all the running no more because he's got Souček in there and they complement each other. And that's not. I don't think that was a dig at Mark Noble, but it's a dig at the club and the management that we needed someone like Souček in the team.
I think even Noble would agree that we've needed someone like that. You know, I think he'd be one of the first people to agree. And yeah, I think that definitely makes a difference. And Declan Rice, what was outstanding today? I just see these stats here: 100% pass accuracy, 4 ball recoveries, 4 interception, 4 completed long balls, 3 out of 3 successful tackles, and 2 out of 2 successful take-ons.
But he does that. Declan Rice does that week after week for West Ham and England as well. And he still gets his critics, but he will. But as I said, look, he's our player. We love him, and we'll always back Declan Rice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, we go on that when that goal came, obviously, again from that right hand side, and it was helped with Sofal and Souček holding the ball up and putting that in. I couldn't believe it.
I'll tell you what the way. I mean, it's hard to do that when you've got no one up your arse, but when you've got a defender and you've got to hold them off as well, for Antonio to score a goal like that against a world-class goalkeeper, I mean, that was a great finish. And I think come goal of the month on Match of the Day, we've got 2 in there in the space of a week that are going to be in there with Lanzini and Antonio. I mean, there was a bit of, they could have said it was handball on Souček, but it'd have been very, very harsh to give him handball. Last season, as a commentator said, that would have been given. But this season, they're a bit lenient on some of the handballs. And yeah, no, it was a great ball in, and it's a great finish. It's a world-class finish.
Yeah, Antonio, and this is what I was saying to Nicky, is because he didn't. It's weird. Because he didn't score last week. Some people are saying he should have been dropped this week, and it's like you don't drop an informed striker because they ain't scored in one game. He still is so much threat.
The thing is, he's a vital cog in our machine, and we noticed that after sort of 60 minutes because he's pulled up with something. I hope they've taken him off as a precaution, but. And this is the downer for me today. This is the little bit of a downer to me today because as soon as he went off, we lost our shape completely, and we allowed them to play a bit more. We invited them on a little bit more, which inevitably led to their goal because Antonio was still on the pitch, but he was really struggling at the time and wasn't doing the closing down he'd been doing all game.
Yeah, Yarmolenko, Antonio come off on 52 minutes. I think if it had been about 65, 70 minutes, then Haller would have come straight on for him. But I don't think Haller is fit enough to come on that early in the game. And but as you said, mate, the second half, Phil Foden changed the game for me. I mean, I've never thought I'd say this as a West Ham fan, but I wish Aguero stayed on. Because
we were saying this during the live stream. Aguero's age is catching up with Aguero. And he's not the
he's
full nature he once was. But Phil Foden come on. I always give props to players when they come on. He was fucking excellent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the thing. People look at that. I mean, he made almost an immediate impact because he weren't on that long before he scored. And I was talking to this about Dom because some people have been criticising Fabianski, but I do think it is a bit harsh because I mean that finish was just quality because the way he does it and the way he turns, and I'm not sure if he's being slightly obstructed, Fabianski, but a lot of people are saying that that Fabianski should be dropped, and I think people are slating him.
No, not dropped, but I think he could have done better. But as you say, if you look at the goal, he's looked to turn one way and it sort of deflected off his knee, which made up his mind to go the other way, and I think Fabianski had read it to go one way, and I said it at the time. I think he could have done a bit better with it, but I'm not a fucking goalkeeper. You know what I mean?
The thing is as well, mate, is the speed of that ball, the wet grass, he's picked up speed as soon as he's hit the floor as well. So it's a great finish from Phil Foden, and he's a talent, and that's the difference between. We're saying we've got a great squad, but they can bring players like Foden, De Bruyne on, to change a game, and that's the difference. That's the levels between Manchester City and West Ham, but. It was a great finish, and it's not what Foden does just on the ball; it's what he does off the ball as well. It's the little runs, the turns. He drops into the.
Wow. Don't tell me with that haircut, he don't look like Richard from the In-Betweeners.
Richard. Oh, what, the nutty mate in?
Yeah, the one that goes, all right, fellas.
Yeah. And the one that takes his mum and dad on holiday with him, what's that?
No, the one, the one that's been there for about 6 months, but he obviously ain't got no fucking money left, and he's trying to just pick up a party anywhere he goes.
Oh yeah. But
let's go shower around your house. All right.
That is the
my favourite was Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
But Fabianski, just to add to Fabianski, he made some great saves, and I think it's Sterling. I think comes up with a 1-1, and he comes out, doesn't he? And he makes the save. And I was looking at that, right? Not to that, and you're looking at the way he comes out versus the way Pickford comes out in that. And I'm sorry, Everton fans, if you're watching, to bring that up, but you just look at it, it's like he comes out a lot more calm, and that's what you get with Fabianski, a lot of a sense of calmness, and he made a few good saves in that.
Yeah, he didn't have much to do first half, did he? But second half, he everything right, apart from obviously conceding the goal. Everything else he done right, spot on. Even when he, coming for the ball, his catching was brilliant. Even when that one when he dived and punched it out, he had to do it to get clear his lines because it was instant. And no, he done everything. The one-on-ones, the one at the end when he hit the post, Mahrez, but Fabianski's obviously got down and he's not give Mahrez any room to score.
Yeah, I think people need to ease up on him. But yeah, it was tough then because we had Yarmolenko come on and then he took Bowen off. He took Bowen off as well. And I'm not going to slate him too much, but we lost quite a lot of pace with losing Bowen and Antonio for Haller and Yarmolenko.
I'll be honest, I think there was a point that I would have taken Yarmolenko off because he come on and everything he done today didn't go right for him. He kept knocking it out of play, he kept losing it. He nearly cost us the game there. And when he tried to play a back pass to Fabianski and he's taken a deflection and played Sterling in. Yarmolenko is, look, I'm not going to sit here and criticise him too much because I do like him, but that was a stinker from him today. Absolute stinker.
I don't know whether it was the just not the right game for him or not the right time for him to come on or what, because he has been in great form when he has come on and when he's
I've got to say, this is the critical part of it as well, and I sit here at risk of people calling me a bit of a fair weather because you're playing Manchester City and you've come away with a draw, but it's always that point where when you go 1-0 up and you've played so well, you're going to be disappointed that you haven't got the 3 points. 3 points for us today would have been fucking huge, like massive. But I'm going to say the Moyes substitutions, and this is where he's struggling with the substitutions. Last week, bang on. But if you look at his record over the last, I don't know, how long's he been here?
Well, what in terms of the second stint?
Moyes, how long has he been here?
10 months?
10 months?
Yeah, he joined in the November of last season, didn't he? So
November, so nearly a year. You've got to say his record with substitutions and the way he makes his substitutions hasn't always been bang on. And I thought he got it a little bit wrong today. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he had much to choose from. But I thought he brought the wrong players on at the wrong time.
Yeah, but the Yarmolenko one was a false substitution.
Yeah, but Lanzini's there, Roy. I think Lanzini gives you a little bit more mobility.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing for me. I would have liked to see Lanzini just because build on that from last week. He's got to be over the moon. He's got to be on cloud 9. Just try and force that bit.
I think there was a point where we was looking to bring Lanzini on, but I think that Moyes and I think he made the right decision here that he didn't make that substitution because we just had to see out that game. We had to soak up that pressure. And a point is a massive. Listen. A point against Man City, anyone would have taken it. I mean, if you look at it this way, is that if we drew with Spurs last week, great result. We drew with City today, but if we had beat Spurs last week and lost today, we'd have had more points on the table.
Yeah.
But
it's
momentum in it, and getting points against big teams like Man City gives you confidence. Going, we got Liverpool next. I mean, if we go to Liverpool and get a point, that's 3 points out of Tottenham away, City at home, and Liverpool away. That's massive. That's massive.
I'll be honest, mate. With what we had, you go back last week. I said if we get a point out the next two, we've done really well. We've set ourselves up for a good season. The only thing that worries me now is the Antonio injury because, as I said, it starts to expose us where we're so weak. We haven't got Haller come on. I'm sorry, but he's just not for me. He's just not for me. I know he's meant to have had a little bit of a knock and all of that sort of thing, but he's got no presence. And I'm not blaming him completely because I think, as I said to Dan, when Antonio got injured and Yarmolenko come on, he must have been looking around thinking to himself, like, what the fuck have I got to do here? So I think, and this is the thing I don't like about Moyes, is that he's fringe players that they don't seem to get any love. So you got all of that confidence in the side, but you got the likes of Lanzini. I mean, these are big players, big personalities. Some of them have been around the club for a long time. You got people like Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Haller that are probably thinking to themselves like, what the fuck's the point? Like, I come on last week, I scored the winner. I'm not getting a start. I'm not getting a fucking another shot. And I think that's where he falls down a little bit. I think he needs to keep, like I said to Dan at the beginning of the watch along, you know, could you see there being some sort of like rotation system, because Lanzini could easily slot in there, you know. And I didn't think Fornals had the greatest of games today, if I'm honest with you. I thought
we haven't mentioned him yet. I was just about to say about Fornals, but I don't think he had that bad of a game, I'll be honest. But it wasn't his greatest game, but he's still done a lot of work. I loved it when he laid on the floor for the free kick. Obviously, West Ham have done their homework on De Bruyne.
He missed that massive chance, right? That was a huge chance.
I think when he went through, I think that he had it in his mind that he was offside because he kept looking for that flag to go up. But they've got to realise that the linesmen don't put their flags up no more. And I think he done a lot of running in that game. So maybe he was a bit leggy going through. And I wish that would have been Antonio or, you know, but yeah, I still think he had a decent game. But I thought there might have been a point where David Moyes might have brought on Lanzini for Fornals.
That's what he was looking for.
I was a bit surprised, as you said earlier. I was a bit surprised when Bowen went off. I thought Bowen worked really hard today. I think I prefer Bowen out on the wings than up top on his own. I don't think that worked. But
yeah, the times I've seen him there, it's never really seemed to work, is it? The few times that he has been put there.
Yeah, I think we've got to give a lot of credit as well to the sort of back five, especially the back three of Balbuena, Ogbonna, and Creswell today. I thought they had a comfortable game. Yeah. As Nicky said earlier, Masuaku today, very confident on the ball. I know he gave one away right at the end, which might have cost us, but all round he had a good game. For me, going forward, he looks so confident, and I like it when he does little tricks, you know, because when he's confident, he's the only one in that team really that can pull that sort of skill out the bag. I mean, we haven't seen Benrahma. I'm sure we're going to see him do a few tricks and flicks over the next few months, but.
You imagine Masuaku and Benrahma on that side. So you've got like Sofal and Bowen, which is like the work rate side, and then you got the skill, you know, and the pace on the left.
Yeah.
Sofal for me as well it wasn't his best game I've seen him play so far, but still solid. He was better in the first half than he was in the second. He looked a bit shaky when they scored their goal, and I was watching it thinking, if anyone's going to give away a penalty today for West Ham, it's going to be him. But after about a 15-20 minute, you know, shaky period, he settled back into the game and helped us see the game out and a well-deserved point.
Yeah, he likes to tackle. So just on Haller, I think the thing is with Haller is it's not a like for like replacement. If you take out Antonio and you put in Haller, you know, he's not the same player. He's not going to make those runs and do those take-ons.
This is what I was sort of alluding to, where it's going to worry me a little bit, is the fact that if he's out now for a sort of extended amount of time, Antonio, we just lose the intensity.
I don't think Antonio's that. From what I've seen, that it was just he felt a tweak in his muscle, so he's come off. I mean, he walked down the tunnel. He didn't look like he was limping or anything. So let's hope that, fingers crossed, that it's nothing too bad. So,
but I think if he is out and we do decide to go with Haller, we have to change the system. I don't think we can.
To be fair, mate, we have to go with Haller because there's no one else.
Then we have to change the system. In my opinion, we need to find a way to, and I think Benrahma could be the sort of player that we need to bring in to come in, and we need to find a way to play to his strengths, because that's the striker we've got. Whether people like him or don't like him, he's not going to be picking up the ball from deep like Antonio and running and doing all that running and having the pace. So we need to play to his strengths and get the ball to his feet in the box or put some crosses in.
But this is where I feel the club had failed in the transfer window, because you know you can't leave, especially with his injury record, you can't leave just that chance. That's what I'm saying. They didn't have to buy Benrahma in the end. They could have just gone and got King. King wanted to come. They was willing to sell. The money was there. You know, we could have got Benrahma and King, and it would have been a different sort of transfer window then.
We could only loan Benrahma, isn't it? So you're right, we had money left.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just think that's what I don't like about the club, and I don't like the way you know the way the clubs run, because they just leave things to chance. They gamble on the fact that they're gonna stay, you know, they're gonna stay fit, and you know, we know they don't. We know they don't stay fit, and that's, you know, but I don't want to moan too much today, because we
It's a massive positive in the context of this run, and this is what I said to Dom. What was a nightmare run has turned into a dream because 8 points.
And the good thing about it is, Dan, we're at the end of it now.
Yeah, you're coming out.
We've got Liverpool,
and we don't play Liverpool until 5:30 next Saturday, so it's a bit of a rest now for the players. David Moyes has got a week now to work with the team, and Benrahma, get him up a bit more match fit. Well, not match fitness, but sharpness. And we go again against Liverpool.
Yeah, and
to be fair as well, the shape Liverpool are in at the moment, the way we're playing, we start well up there, and you just never know. Like I think this is going to be a fucking mental season again. I'll be honest with you. I think this is going to be a crazy, crazy season.
This could be like the 2015-16 season.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be a lot of teams pulling things out their arse. I think there's going to be fucking teams dropping points left, right, and centre. I just think this is going to be a mad league. And to be fair, obviously, I'm never going to put our name in the pipeline, but there's going to be a lot of clubs that look at that Premier League this year and think, do you know what? I could fancy that.
Well, you look at Aston Villa last night, mate. They've been flying and they lost 3-0 at home to Leeds.
Yeah,
and I watched the highlights after we done Friday Night Pint, and Jesus, that Bamford, some of his finishing. I don't know if you've seen the goals, but his second and third goal were world class. I mean, the backlift he got off that for that second goal, and Leeds were right up there. When we was 1-0 up, if we were sitting third in the table. People, we weren't even expecting a point when we went into this run of the games, and we were sitting third in the table at one point, and now we've dropped down a bit, obviously because other results, but we're still in the mix. You get 2 or 3 wins, you're right up there, but then again, you get 2 or 3 losses, and you're back down the bottom. So
it's funny looking at the top 4 now: Everton, Villa, Leeds, Liverpool. It's like something out of the 70s, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that. I'm looking at a league table from the early 80s or something.
Yeah, it's mad, and I think if we just keep, focusing on our game, not thinking too much about Europe or where we can go, and just keep doing what we're doing, and I think we can really go on to do well. And look, our expectations as fans, as much as we're doing well, we want to just be out of far from the relegation battle if we can get in top 10. So Moyes hasn't got the pressure of high expectations this season.
Expectations with fans change week after week. I mean, you have pretty good wins. You're talking about Europe and this, that, and the other. You're praising Moyes, you're praising players. 2 or 3 defeats, and it's Moyes out. And that's what we love about football. It changes week in, week out. But
I think if we go 12, we'll be happy, wouldn't we? Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look, as it's going at the moment, we're in good form. We've got players that put everything on the line when they from beginning to end. There's never say die attitude, where previous seasons we've rolled over. Last week we'd have lost 6-0 to Spurs under a different manager or different season. Today we would have lost 4 or 5. The annual turn up for City, it's a piss up. It's a day out.
Look at it this way: Arsenal fans were talking about losing 1-0 to City was progress from them because they'd lose whatever they're back. So if that's progress, if losing 1-0 to City is progress for Arsenal, imagine what it is for West Ham. Drawing 1-0.
That's what I'm saying. You've had it's crazy, isn't it? Because we've lost to Arsenal. Man City went and fucking slaughtered Leicester 5-2. Slaughtered Man City 5-2. Then we went and beat Leicester. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a mad season. Mad.
We didn't deserve to lose to Arsenal, to be fair. And the interesting stat that I've seen that's come out more and more is the whole expected goals thing. And apart from, I haven't seen the Man City one, this is probably higher, but apart from the Newcastle game, every game, including Spurs and Arsenal, our expected goals were higher. So we had basically, I think it's sort of saying we have more chance than we was expected to go on to score more goals. So that must tell you something, that the amount of times we have played so well. Like I said, apart from you take the first 15 minutes out of the Spurs game.
But listen, the impressive thing about West Ham at the minute, especially in the first half, was the chance creation. We were creating chances. I've sat at City at the City ground midweek and all that, and I've sat at London Stadium many times and watched Man City. I've been, I think, a dozen games over the last 5 years, and I don't think in about 11 of them we probably didn't create a fucking chance to score.
I don't know, mate. Do you remember that time in David Moyes' first stint as manager? We went 1-0 up when Ogbonna scored. and he had And we felt like we won the league that day just doing that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, the impressive amount of chances we created it's a team brimming with confidence. But as I said, this is what starts to worry me, and this is what I've always been talking about. It's when the injuries start piling up, when the fixtures start piling up, when someone like Antonio goes down. Because I still reiterate this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. One of Rice or Souček go down, and a defender, and we're in stuck. Like so. Long that continue. Hopefully, Antonio isn't, out for a month or whatever. Because I wouldn't be so heartbroken if he sat out next week just as a precaution. Because he's vital to the way we're playing at the minute.
Yeah, especially with the form he's in as well. But I don't know if any of you see the David Moyes interview before the game on BT. You might not have seen it, but it was such a refreshing interview to Joe Cole sat down with him at the training ground, and he was just talking about what he's trying to build at West Ham, a young, fresh team that a hungry team, and he said it won't take one transfer window, it won't take two it might take 3 or 4 transfer windows. But when you look at the team he is and the players we're bringing in. We spoke about it last night on Friday Night Pint that obviously David Moyes' contract runs out at the end of the season, and with what he's trying to do at the moment and the way we're playing, would you give him like another 2-year deal now just so he can sort of carry on building, or do you just see it out to the end of the season and then decide from there?
Me personally, and I know this might sound harsh in that, but I would get towards the back end of the season, see what's out there.
I can see what you're saying, but then will they? Then they won't back him in January, will they? And then we're just going to have the same where people are just going to be sitting there saying, "Oh, the ball ain't backing the manager. We're not signing anyone."
Well, maybe I'd look about January, because January is a time when contracts are sort of running out. That's when they can sort of go and approach people and all that. Maybe. I know this sounds sly and all that, but maybe just do it on a sly. Just have a quick look at what's out there. See,
don't you think he deserves another chance? Because you think he's been loyal to West Ham. They treated him like shit last time. He's come back. He's steadied the ship. He's had his critics. He's dealt with it, and he's got us playing good football. And he's brought in some good players. And listen, David Moyes wasn't my first choice. I know he wasn't your first choice. I know he wasn't Dan's first choice. It wasn't a lot of people's first choice. But I think he has done a half decent job since he's been at the club. And I can't criticise him too much. Yes, we criticise him sometimes on his substitutions. Fair enough. His team selection. But that comes with being a manager. And he's got a huge headache at the moment with trying to fit people on his bench that would have been starting week in, week out for West Ham at one point.
I would get to January and see what's about. I wouldn't go for someone like like we did before, like if there's a Pellegrini or something available, I wouldn't bother, because we could do with stability. But someone who has got a Premier League experience, someone who's got an experience of building a team and making a team, a lot better than they are. I would have a look if there was someone like that. If there wasn't, I'd give him another 2 years just to stabilize.
What you described just then, we've got. Because look, what everyone remembers his time at Man United, and he went to Sunderland when they was already relegated, basically. But you look what he done at Everton. You've got to remember things like that. He built a young team at Everton. He had a few experienced players in there as well. But I think what he's doing at West Ham now, he's steadied the ship. He's come in, he's steadied the club. The one thing for me is when you've got a manager, if the fans don't like him, that's fair enough. It's the players. If the players take to him and the players like him, and I haven't heard one player come out, even players that don't play week in, week out, and say anything negative about David Moyes. And that's what I like to hear.
We've been in this position again with Sam, Big Sam. He done exactly the same thing. He steadied the ship. We was never really in any danger underneath him, like any real danger.
The only difference with Big Sam is that Big Sam didn't sign young talent. Big Sam always just wanted to steady the ship, with old players that we're not trying to sign anymore. I know we've signed Craig Dawson, but Craig Dawson hasn't even been in the match day squads, and he probably won't be as long as we've got a fully fit team. He come in as cover, as backup, on loan. That's what people forget. He's on loan. People are acting like we signed Dawson on a 3-year deal. It's on loan until the end of the season. I just think with Moyes at the moment, I just think give him a chance. I think what he's doing at the moment, he's doing well. He's doing well.
All right, let me give my answer. Let me give my answer to this, right? Because I've obviously been a vocal critic of Moyes, and I'm still not completely convinced. Like, what he's done this run is better than anyone expected of him. So you've got to give him that. I would give him the deal. I'd give him a 2-year deal because I don't think it is good to have managers where you've got these managers and they're worried about, oh, is my contract going to be running out and where am I going to be next season? Whether we decide that we do want to go in another direction in the future, pay the compensation like every other club does with their manager, and then find someone else. Just sack him, pay the rest, pay the contracts off, and go buy. But he should have that deal and have that job security to know, right, cool, this is my job now, and this is my job to lose. And let me go and focus. Let me bring my players, rather than thinking, you're getting to November, December, and he's going, oh, they're going to give me the contracts. Where am I going to be? And like I said, like he's done a decent job. We brought him back. What have we brought him back for? We brought him back to be another temporary manager. Like, I can't see who else is out there. And so far, it's so good. Like you said, we could give him the deal and it all goes to shit. Well, then we sack him and then bring in someone else. I don't see the difference. Oh, we save a few bob, but that's all we try and do.
The thing is, I think you two are right in the fact that I don't think this current board are going to attract anyone of any significance, to be quite honest with you, because they've got a track record of let's be fair, they've got a track record of being stingy. They don't want to. They don't particularly want to spend their money. They spend their money when they feel they need to spend it. Really, like when they're forced to spend money. And there isn't many managers, even of David Moyes' quality, that's going to take that sort of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not many out there. We've heard the stories about falling outs between Bilic and the board and Sam and the board and all that, and there's one common denominator: it's the board. If I didn't give Moyes enough credit when we first got hold of him, because I called him a bit of a apparently, like a lot of the transfer dealings and all that, a lot of the signings didn't happen because he just won't take numbers. He wants what he wants, and I said he was a bit of a rollover sort of thing, you know what I mean? But I don't like it when, like when you look at the signings that we've made, like Bilic is saying we want to sign a young, hungry squad. It doesn't really, when you look at who we was linked with and who we ended up signing, it doesn't really match up to what he said, and he sort of covers the ball. But saying that, he's doing a fabulous job with what he's got, and he is building. We've got a nice team, but as I said, the problem is, and you see it today, I think this is the early signs and the early warnings, is when we lose one or two of them cogs, we haven't really got anyone to replace them, and the whole machine starts to fall down a little bit, and we become more vulnerable.
I think that I know what you're saying there about losing Antonio today, but I think that comes down to the opposition that we had today. If that would have been a different team, Haller might have come on a bit earlier. But I just think even with Antonio, if he'd have stayed on the pitch, we still would have played the same way, and we'd have just been looking for that ball over the top and hoping to nick the victory. But yeah, I know I do understand what you're saying, but I just think with David Moyes, if we can get to the next transfer window and he adds a couple of other players to this squad, young players, then I think we are building a good team, and it's a team that I'm excited to watch now. I don't get to that point now. And even sometimes last season, I was thinking, do you know what? You knew what you expect. With this team, I don't know what to expect at the moment, because we're just pulling results out of our arses. Like, look at the Tottenham comeback last week. As I said, we'd have never have done that in the last couple of seasons. Never have done that. But it just seems something different about this team at the moment. And it goes down to the backroom staff as well, not only David Moyes, but all of the backroom staff.
The only thing I'm a little bit disappointed with the squad. Can you imagine adding an Arnautovic to this squad if we'd have convinced him to stay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then you look at it this way: if we'd have kept Arnautovic, we might not have ever seen a Bowen at West Ham.
No, but that's the thing, isn't it? We're always sort of chopping and changing the itinerary that we've got. You know, you've got to add the Bowens to the Arnautovic's, and
People
then
said the same about Arnautovic, didn't they? Imagine if we'd have kept Payet and had Payet, but we'd never have seen Arnautovic if Payet probably would have stayed, because we didn't go down that route when we should have gone down that route when we had Payet. But we added players like Arbeloa and Zaza and Goldvite and Gokhan and shit like that. You know what I mean? And it's
comes down. That comes down to the ownership. I think managerial wise, we need that stability.
Can you just imagine today if Antonio goes off, Bosch, you got Arnautovic sitting on a bench. You lose nothing, do you? You lose no. You the way we're playing at the minute, you lose no sort of no impact. It's exactly the same. And Arnautovic hassles and hustles and holds the ball up and is strong on the ball and plays it in a similar way to Antonio. It's just
we got to remember as well, Nick, is that the Arnautovic you're talking about is that David Moyes turned him into that Arnautovic.
Yeah, I know.
So that's back again. Credit to David Moyes even back then, and he's done the same with Antonio. So yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think we've moved on from Arnautovic, and I think we've moved on for the better from Arnautovic, if I'm honest. As much as I'm gutted when he left the club, when I look at the players that I've got there now, I'd rather have a Jarrod Bowen in my team that fights not only up front but at the back as well than a Marko Arnautovic, if I'm honest. And Marko Arnautovic was a great player for us. I'm not taking away his talent, but his attitude was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely got a good feeling in the squad, and I think there's a good togetherness, and I think that is what's good. But I do think I've been saying this for a while. We need a player like Antonio who can, has that pace and has that strength and can make the runs and things like that on his own. And
I just love about Antonio. He plays with a smile on his face all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah, and
that's like watching someone that's plays in the park, and he's just been given a chance to play in the Premier League, and he's just smiled, a bit like what Ian Wright used to do.
Yeah, he's enjoying his football. You can tell he's enjoying his football.
Because
I think, and
a lot of them players, the humble ones are the ones that come from the bottom.
Yeah. No, you're right.
They come through the divisions. They go from non-league to League 2 to League 1 to Championship, and then eventually make their way into the Premier League. And you see a lot more honest players like that. They're not always the best. I wouldn't even say Antonio's always the fucking best, because I've seen him stick him in rose head from 6 yards and all of that. But they know they have to work hard. They feel privileged to be in that position. I'd much rather have sort of an Antonio than some. I'll be honest with you. I'd much rather have Antonio than Alea.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I mean, the prime example of that is Jamie Vardy, non-league to winning the Premier League. What I mean? Exactly. Scoring goals week in, week out. I'm with you though. I like players like that. I like players that are humble and they just love to play football. It's not always about the wages and being in the newspaper. I mean, the only headlines that Antonio's doing at the moment is being in the back page for the right reasons. I mean, the only time I've ever seen him in the press for wrong was when he was dressed as a snowman crashing his car. But even that,
I will be very surprised now if sort of Haller's agent isn't trying to find him an exit route. The same way that
I wouldn't blame him.
No, I wouldn't blame him. And to be fair, he just doesn't fit the system that we want to play. And I'd rather have taken that money and played it into, one or two, young hungry forwards that the likes of Ollie Watkins and players like him, rather than keeping hanging about doing fuck all really. And
I think Haller obviously as well, where he picked up that injury. I mean, hopefully over the next few weeks we might see a bit, because when he started this season during the cup games, what did he score? 4 or 5 goals, So let's just hope. I mean, even when he come on against Wolves late on, he got a goal, didn't he? So it's about him now trying to push Antonio out, and you never know if Antonio has picked up an injury and he's out for a couple of weeks. This might be Haller's time to step in and try to show why he's got to be the main striker at West Ham. But I'm with you. If we sold Haller in January and replaced him, it wouldn't faze me that much.
Yeah, but don't replace him with like, if we're going to play with someone with Josh King and put Josh King up front, because is Josh King going to be the sort of player that's like an Antonio? Like, I think we need energy, or even like a Sacco. We need someone with pace and energy up front that can step in and just slot in that position. Because, like I said, if we're playing LA, change the system, because it's
I thought the key to getting the best out of Haller was the Ngana. That's the sort of player I thought would have got the best out of him. But what's to say that the key to Haller isn't Benrahma?
Benrahma, yeah. That's what we've got to see.
What I'm saying. I mean, I think when I know I said last week, and as I said, I have seen a lot of Benrahma play. Before you go in, have you heard these rumours about his blood tests that he might be forced to retire? Yeah, and maybe that's the reason why now that obviously he obviously it is a loan deal with the option to buy, because they can do a bit more time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but I mean, the geezer played 40 odd games last season for Brentford. He played the other week for his national team. I don't see how all of a sudden they've just found this out. So yeah, it's a weird one, but hopefully he's fine and he's fully fit to play for West Ham, because I think he will excite the fan base. I mean, so even the training videos, I know the training videos, but you see him doing little flicks and tricks, and that excites people. That excites people.
Then training videos do my head in though, because you're watching them fucking larrup from like 1 yard. Everyone's going, yeah.
I do understand, but what you got to remember as well is that we were kids once, and we used to. So more of them videos are for like the younger fan base and the kids, because they want to see their heroes do that. But I love seeing like things like that when he's twisting and turning players that are our first team starters, and it excites me, and I can't wait to see him pull on a West Ham shirt and show us what he can do in the top level.
Yeah.
I put you right, Ryan.
Cheers, mate.
You're going to disagree with him there.
But yeah,
Liverpool's going to be a big test. So Alisson's 50-50, Van Dijk's out, but they've still got a world-class attack. So the way with our defence have been going, this is going to be a big test for them. But I back him. I back him to have a.
I don't know. I just don't know whether Balbuena stays in for this one.
What, really? I thought he had a good game.
I thought he had a real solid game. But you're talking about Mane now, and you're talking about Salah now. These are different gravy to, like, not terms of quality, but pace. Even like the likes of Sterling and Son, they lead them.
Isn't it? Changing that back three and bringing in Diop, who ain't played in a while, and then expecting.
It's a massive risk, because if you do and we get smashed, Moyes is going to get criticised heavily. But then again, Balbuena's always that sort of player that I'm worried with. I always feel like there's a mistake in him, or he's going to get caught out. But the last few games, he's played really well. So I'll be very, very harsh to drop him, in my opinion.
I just think Diop gives you a little bit more athleticism. That's all I'm saying. And he might fancy that over Balbuena.
It's a tough choice. I think it's definitely harder for him to change it than keep it. I'd be surprised if he did. But yeah, maybe he will. But we'll have to see.
If like Diop and Balbuena have had this real battle. Like, it used to be Ogbonna and Balbuena, didn't it? But like Ogbonna's taken the mantle of the first choice centre back. But I just if Diop can't force his way in, I think Diop's going to leave. I think he'll end up leaving because he's got like tons of potential. But I don't think he's fulfilling it at the minute. I don't think like the way the club has gone in the last few years has been a good learning environment for such a talent like him. And I don't want to lose him, because I think to myself, like, if we could sign another big defender, then he could be the one that's teaching him. Do you know what I mean? And I got a feeling that he might be looking to move on in the summer.
Well, the good thing is with the Liverpool game is that obviously they kick off late tonight, 8:00, and they've got a Champions League game during the week as well. We're fresh now. Well, we've got no games now until next Saturday when we travel to Anfield. So it's a good rest for our players now. Let's hope that Mane, Salah, and Firmino all get kicked up in the air during the week or tonight, whatever. But confident going into our forward line must be confident going into that game, knowing that they're not coming up against Van Dijk, who is one of the best defenders in the world at the moment. And it's a shame what's happened to him when he's out, but it's to our advantage.
The only injury in the world, according to some fans, because I ain't stopped hearing about it.
Do you know what? I even heard that they tried to hire Mr. Miyagi to go around there and cure his knee, like
What,
he did
do the old
with Daniel LaRusso. Yeah, they're a different fan base, isn't they? It's funny.
To be fair, I don't think it's. I mean, the fan base. I stick by him in that sort of sense, because I thought it was an awful tackle, and he definitely should have gone. And I watched the offside, and I still can't work out what's offside. But it's not. I don't think it's so much the fan. It's the media. The media don't stop fucking talking about it.
It was a horrible tackle, but that's football. It happens in football, doesn't it? It's not like it's the first time we've seen someone make a challenge, and we've seen Roy Keane on Alf-Inge Haaland ruin his career. We've seen. I mean, it weren't that so long ago that Mane kicked Edison in the face, and give him loads of stitches. So it happens in football. It's a contact sport at the end of the day, and it's just unfortunate this happened to Van Dijk, because I think if it had happened to any other player for Liverpool, I don't think there would have been as much interest as there has been. It would have just been other players injured.
The media want to push the narrative of them retaining a title. They think that, at the minute, they think the sun shines out of Liverpool's arse.
But they're good enough to retain the title. They went to Ajax and won.
They are, mate. They are good enough to retain the title. That's what I said. But I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as it was last year.
No, but I didn't think, even with Van Dijk, I didn't think it was going to be like it was last season. I think it'd be very close this season. But look, end of the day, we're happy. Point against Man City at home. The run continues. Bring on Liverpool.
Have you seen the new pink West Ham kit?
Yeah, do you know what? I see it in the club shop the other day. It's for a great cause. It's not something I personally wear, but it's for a great cause.
Would you wear it, Dan?
No, if it's for a great cause, but I wouldn't wear it just if it weren't for a great cause. I haven't even seen it, to be fair. I'm trying to look for it. I ain't seen it.
Just
Does it look nice?
Pink, man.
Yeah, it's just they do it in men's as well. I love it.
The geezer who reviews West Ham shirts, and he's like, it's just a West Ham shirt, it's pink. You're the guy who reviews the shirts and go, oh, it's
I know, yeah, but I've just sent it. Let me see if I can get a picture up here for you.
They done one last season, didn't they? And women wear it during this month, and it's available for fans to buy. And I think it sold out last year.
So how much of the money goes then to the charity? Do you know?
I think all of the proceeds go to the charity. I'm sure it is.
That's good then. That's good. So maybe for people,
but David Sullivan takes 85% of it.
Yeah.
Now
I'm joking.
But it's good. Then it's a good opportunity for West Ham fans that if you wanted to buy a West Ham shirt but didn't want to support the board, you've now got an option. Then if you can have that West Ham shirt that doesn't go to the board.
Listen, don't take my word for it. I don't know if it 100% all goes to them, but I know that a big majority of it goes. So I'm not sure, obviously, but it's for a great cause, and yeah.
Absolutely. Fulham have gone 2-0 down. We've got them in a few weeks. I tell you, they're in banging trouble. Poor Scotty Parker, and I just hope that they don't just keep losing every game, and then we rock up and West Ham it up, because we got them. Was it game after Liverpool, wasn't it? Fulham?
Yeah. Don't we play Fulham then Sheffield United? Don't we?
Okay,
then Villa.
So let's have a share of the screen. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry.
I hope you put the right picture up.
Yeah, it's just you've not.
That's all right, no problem.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I'm gonna just chill. This is new to me.
Oh my god! I really hope that he gets. What's that with you?
Is it a woman's kit or a version?
Eh?
They do a men's version.
Can you see that or not?
Yeah. I'm asking if they do a men's version.
Yeah, no, they do. Yeah, they do a men's version.
I think it's the same version twice. So just the men's.
I mean, some players pull off Pink, you know.
They do they do the same version, but in a men's fit.
Yeah.
Like you imagine us trying to squeeze into a women's top.
Oh, Mr. Slim Nicky could now, isn't it? With all the weight he's lost.
I'm fitting into some nice clothes, man.
Yeah, I bet. It's starting to look like Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro? Well, he's about 80.
No, I mean not Robert De Niro now, like younger version. You do that face, you've got that.
Kind of look like an old sack of shit.
See face Nicky does this Robert De Niro face there.
Nicky's 30. How old are you? 38, 37, 38?
37. Coming up 38.
38. Nearly 38, and Dan's comparing you to a 75-year-old bloke.
I meant the 50-year-old Robert De Niro.
you talking about when I go like this?
Yeah, you do that quite a lot.
King in the castle. I got a chair.
Doesn't quite sound like Robert De Niro, but
was that a Robert De Niro impression?
Yeah. Robert De Niro doing a Borat impression.
Well, speaking of, quickly before we go, Borat 2's out now. I'm gonna have to have a watch of that over the weekend.
I might watch it tonight. It's on Amazon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, might watch that tonight. Yeah.
Checking out.
But yeah, anyway, good post-match pint. No Scott, unfortunately.
You didn't sound too convincing there. You went, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I thought he was going to be here, but yeah.
Good to look. There he is, Robert De Niro face again. Good.
That was Robert De Niro having a shit.
No, it's good to the positivity extended. Obviously, we've talked about some negatives, but you got to look at things on balance and talk about everything in the game. But ultimately, it's a massive positive, and we're in a really good position from where we are. And hopefully, we can just continue to build on it, regardless of what Liverpool.
Sorry, Dan. This is where we have to start to worry. Not worry, but this is where we have to start to sort of put these performances that we've had against these. Forget Liverpool. Like completely forget it. Completely get it out of your mind. As far as we're aware, it's 2 weeks from now, and we've got no points from Liverpool. That's how you got to look at it, right? Yeah. But this is where they've got to start to look at Fulham and go, right, we put in the performances that we did against City, Spurs, Leicester. We'll wipe the floor with Fulham. We'll wipe the floor with Sheffield United. And that's when you start to build a good season. You're not going to pick up like. The thing is, as you see, the Man Cities and the Leicesters and the Liverpools and all that, they're all getting beat. They're getting beat, and they've got to play. They've got to play each other yet, and they're all going to beat each other.
Well, we got to remember as well, mate, is that we went to Anfield last season when they was on the verge of their title running, and we give them a good game, and we was 2-1 up there with 10 minutes ago, and we threw it away. We're a better team now than we was there. And you got to remember, I know it seems weird to say it, but there was crowds there that day. There's no crowds there. They haven't got the Anfield crowd to get behind them, and we can just go there, and if we play how we have been playing, there's no reason why we can't get something out of that game. Even a point.
Do you think that's a big reason that the season's going the way it is? Do you think crowds not being there is affecting results?
Even today, mate, you know that point where City were on top and they looked like they was going to nick the winner and the ball was bouncing about the box. If the crowds were there, the crowds would have been, screaming, shouting. It would have made the players nervous, and it probably would have caused a mistake. But I think with the crowds not being there, they haven't got that pressure on them at the moment. I mean,
do you think in a way, right? Do you think they want crowds to be there or not?
Yeah, I think deep down, obviously players react to crowds. Someone like a Benrahma will love a crowd because if he takes it past one or two players, he's going to people up on their feet. Antonio scores that goal today. Imagine the roar in that stadium. But the other good side to it as well is that managers get their points across now because they can hear them. Players can't have that excuse no more that I couldn't hear you because of the crowd. They can.
Well, I just wonder if they understand Moyes, because I was watching the training video and I remember giving instructions. I'm thinking, I'm just about understanding him. I wonder what the foreign players are like when he's going, hey, yeah, go on.
I just think with football, I think it's a universal language. You look at Souček, and Declan Rice, how they communicate on the pitch. You look at Sufal. I mean, I don't think he can speak that good English, but he seems to have just fitted right into that team. And I think when you're on a pitch, football is a language, and you know when someone points like that, you got to go there. When someone's screaming at you, you've done something wrong. So, and that's a good thing about having Declan Rice on the pitch, is because if Moyes can't get that message across, Declan Rice will go and jog over to a player and say, "Look, buck your ideas up a bit, or you go and sit there." And that's
someone tried to say on the live stream that Declan Rice isn't captain material, like he's not a leader, and I massively disagree with that. I think it's the opposite, and I think he's going to really grow into the armband, and the more he does it, the more he gets used to being the captain, he's just going to get the leadership abilities are going to rise. But I think we've already seen a lot from him in that position, in that regard.
Declan Rice has got such an old head on his shoulders for his age. I mean, you look at the England games, the interviews he done after, the questions that were put against him, and he handled it like he's been doing it for years, like he's got 100 caps for England. As we said before, he's played over 100 games for West Ham already. People forget he's only 21 years old. He's got so much developing to do still, but he already looks like a seasoned pro that's been playing in the first team for 10 years. Looks like he's been captain of West Ham for the last 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree more.
I agree, mate. I agree. Right. Thank you very much for watching this edition of West Ham Fan TV's post-match pint. Go and check out all the stuff that we've done before the Man City game. Go and check out the watch along. Go and check out the fan cams. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the morning after the game before. Please, if you're new around here, please click the subscribe button. T-shirts. T-shirts are in the link in the description down below. As our Patreon, I know we had some questions for the Patreon this morning. If you go and check out the Breakfast Club, I answered some of them questions. So for you guys, go and check that out. We were sort of planning some sort of regular content for the Patreon, but lockdown's fucked us really, and the fact that we can't meet each other up has really put a stickler in our plans. But we are working. I'm been working around that this week, and we're going to be meeting this week and making sure that there's regular content going up on the Patreon and that you're getting everything that you're paying for. So thank you very much for the support of the Patreon. Thank you very much, Dan, for all your work today. Thank you very much to Ryan. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, and anything more left to say, boys? Do you want to finish off with anything?
No, mate. Keep the fun. Keep the run going. Come on, you Irons.
Yeah, don't take the sausages off the barbie too soon.
That's an important life fact.
Yeah.
And don't push Nanny while she's shaving.
Don't push Nanny while she's shaving. Thank you very much. One thing left to say, boys.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.